All right, going live, going live. Let's make sure everything is loaded up, healthy. Take a look at the chat. How's everybody doing? Happy Friday. No video on the screen. I have bad news. Uh, well, the situation continues till the 30th, till the end of the month. So no face in the bottom till the end of the month. So anyways, we're going to do it like this. Who cares? We're looking at the charts. Welcome everybody. Bitcoin just slumping. I'm looking at this downtrend right here, a horizontal right there, bit of a descending triangle possibly. But, also we're looking at fear in the markets. We have some news stories going around. So we'll take a look at Bitcoin, maybe the correlation with stocks. We can look at altcoins real quick towards the end. If you have any requests, we'll take a look at those. Doing live technical analysis, price predictions, and trading. Remember, these are my own ideas. And these are my own ideas and opinions on the market. So please trade at your own risk. I am not your financial advisor. Smash that like, subscribe, tick the bell for notifications, leave a comment. Let's take a look at the market. All right. Bitcoin down slightly. We got the altcoins are moving down. Tether slightly up. It looks like people are dumping their altcoins into some Tether. We'll take a look at the Bitcoin dominance as well. The crypto fear and greed index dropped down to a 39. Guys, let's take a look at this real quick. We're pretty neutral there. We were very fearful at the bottom of that dump from the pandemic sell-off, and we stayed fearful until we pumped, and then we've been neutral for a while, but now getting more fearful. And just off the top, this kind of shook the stock market, and we know Bitcoin's been pretty tied closely, and this is more of a global market. News article, basically Apple just closed or reclosed 11 stores in 4 different states: Arizona, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina. This is not good news to see stores reclosing over wave 2. Some people are saying we're even in wave 1 still. The numbers in New York, New Jersey went down, but other parts of the country, they just have flattened and then increased. So a lot of the country is still in wave 1. Saying coronavirus new and dangerous phase. So you also saw that AMC Theaters reverses face mask policy after basically they said that you didn't have to wear the face mask at all times, and now today they're reversing that. So you're seeing more articles coming out where the COVID-19 story is it's getting serious again. And that's kind of what we were looking for in the markets for a potential top. We've rallied pretty hard, and we've been stuck at this 10.5K resistance for a while. 10.5K was, our local top back here, there, and there. And it's like basically a triple top situation. And until we break that, I don't think many people are just like uber macro bullish. We've been in this consolidation. The volatility has been dropping. Your volume's been dropping. Waiting on a breakout. Very choppy kangaroo market. I was trying to draw a new trend line here. We're just looking for anything we can find. We had this rising trend line. It was green as support. We lost that. Closing daily candles beneath it, so now flipped as resistance. We can go down to a lower time frame, take a look at the 4-hour, getting a bounce right there. So the stock market was looking good at the very beginning of the day. Around the morning time, it looked like we were actually maybe going to break out. The NASDAQ was actually performing really well. And then this Apple story came out and we started dumping, but we're getting another bounce. So it was looking like doomsday was coming, but another bounce. And we might have to be patient. But if you're looking at the macro, especially, the S&P 500, We did put in a lower high. So after that massive drop, we've had this rally, putting in a lower high, big dump, and then another lower high. So still, putting in this lower high structure, I wouldn't be surprised if we continue down further. Let's look at the moving averages there. Bouncing off of the 21 EMA though. So finding that support, you do have this resistance, your blue 10 simple coming down around 31.22. Maybe we range in there. I don't know. My opinion, and this is my opinion only, is that if the news story headlines continue to shut down parts of the country where, like, I know Oregon was going to put a halt on their reopening. I know that California now requiring masks at all times in public. And, with Florida's seeing the highest spiking in cases. And the thing is, Florida is supposed to open up the new season for NBA in Orlando. And Florida's having the largest, case numbers daily. So, like, their new record high daily. If Florida gets shut down, they are also going to have to shut down the NBA season, which could be super bearish. We know that, the Black Swan event, that triggered this May. Actually, that was on Bitcoin's chart, but the Black Swan Black Thursday event was the same day that the NBA actually shut down the season. So something like that could be, more FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Also, you have the Republican National Convention, whatever, is being hosted in Jacksonville, Florida. And, that might be canceled as well. So if you start to see more things about shutting back down, we might see a market sell-off, considering we've rallied pretty hard. And take a look at, our stochastics. Let's look at the daily. The daily fast-moving stoch hinting at a possible cross back down, but your slow-moving stoch also crossed up. So we have contradictory, or my stochs are contradicting each other. So that's a tough call right there on the daily. Let's take a look maybe at the 4-hour. Look at the 4-hour stock market. Your fast-moving stoch is crossed down, and your slow-moving stoch hinting a cross down. The Wall Street's going to close in about 20 minutes. You won't see these futures open till Sunday, along with CME Bitcoin. So it depends what happens over the weekend, possibly. But I would be on my toes. I definitely wouldn't be holding any longs over the weekend and, get a gap down and stopped out at an unfavorable price. But that's what we're looking at in the stock market. So let's go back over to Bitcoin. I know most people here that follow me like crypto. Maybe they don't even like to hear about the stock market. But you know what? I think it's playing a major role again in price. So it's important to take a look at both of those. Let's look at the smaller time frames. We'll move our way back up. Okay, we do have the weekly coming up pretty soon here as well. Your 4-hour close will be in 20 minutes, looking to close back beneath the green 200 EMA, rejected by this yellow 21 EMA multiple times. You can see, basically you have this downtrend that I was showing at the top of the video. I have put in a short, basically because I was anticipating the fear maybe to drive price further down. A stop loss above this 4-hour swing high. It won't be a massive loss if I do get stopped out, but I think it's worth it in this situation. Just got to protect your capital sometimes. Sometimes you got to take a little bit of a risk. Maybe if I decide to change my mind, I can close it earlier, but that should keep me safe and in the trade for a while. That's actually an alert for me. Yeah, I set that alert yesterday for myself. If we broke that level, I was looking to potentially put in a long. So, that's an appropriate level to be stopped out on a short, Let's look at maybe some other indicators. Let's go over to the 12-hour, move up to the 12-hour. On the 12-hour, we're beneath our blue 10 simple, beneath the yellow 21 EMA, but price has just been bleeding slowly down. So, we haven't had a lot of volume, not a lot of momentum. So it hasn't been that easy to trade, pretty choppy. And, anything can happen depending on how the whales want to splash. But this is telling me that we are looking bearish, maybe something like that. We could retest that red 100 EMA around 91.64. Fear, uncertainty, despair, doubt, depression, whatever you want to call it. AD, yes, it is important to watch the stocks, especially when they're moving closer together. But something that I had to realize this week was at the beginning of the week, they were moving exactly the same. And then in the middle of the week, actually, NASDAQ was doing, sort of well. S&P was going sideways and Bitcoin was going down. And at that time, I was like, you know what? Just got to play the charts. Be aware of the global situation and aware of the news headlines. But at the same time, just got to be playing the charts. Because if you were, anticipating Bitcoin to bounce when S&P bounced and Bitcoin went down, you're like, damn, what happened? So you also have to just, stick to the chart you're on sometimes too, though. The fast-moving Stochh is coming down on the 12-hour. The slow-moving Stochh hinting at a cross down. We've talked about the 12-hour, especially this 12-hour slow Stochh 1436 setting. When these cross down in a bearish trend, they're actually pretty strong signals. In the past, in a bullish trend, these cross ups have been good signals as well. So momentum to the downside, of course, anything can happen. We have almost 15 minutes left in Wall Street, so the volume could drop off. We could get some weekend volatility, some stop hunts, some erratic moves to the upside or downside. Let's take a look at the CME, because CME is going to close in about 15-30 minutes possibly as well. So it'll be important to see where that's going to close out. And yeah, we have institutions involved in Bitcoin, and institutions obviously are trading the stock market. So, I think if they feel that stocks are risky, they're going to look at Bitcoin risky as well. And, if they're looking to unload some stuff to protect themselves, why wouldn't they get rid of something like Bitcoin, which is really risky? That's my opinion. CME around 93.40. All right, so going back to Bitcoin chart, if we pump over the weekend, you'll have a gap beneath. If we dump over the weekend, you'll have a gap above, and you can see what happens on Sunday. BTC, CME gaps definitely do get filled very often, so have to be aware of that. Moving on to the daily, let's take a look at the daily Bitcoin. Bitcoin getting pushed down and governed by this blue 10 simple resistance, 94.50, coming down, crossed below the yellow 21 EMA actually. So that's kind of a bearish signal on the daily. You do have support, your orange 50 EMA coming in at 91.70. We could just range between these two, 91.70. I've been, showing a 9200 horizontal as well. So between 9200 and 9450 area, which is right where that stop is. So, if I want to be safe, I might want to move that stop actually higher. But I might even get out earlier than that. I was anticipating maybe something a little more drastic. I'll be patient for now. We are sitting on this support level here on the 1 hour, and the 15-minute was definitely oversold, and the Stochh was low, so a bounce wasn't too surprising. You can see on that 15-minute when we were dumping here, you did have that Stochh really low. The Stochh was here low, and you were low on RSI, so a bounce wasn't a surprise. The question was, how high were we going to bounce, and also would we get rejected? Let's look at the moving averages. So rejected by that 21 EMA on the 15-minute, okay? In a strong trending move, the 15-minute 21 in EMA and 10 simple can govern the price in a strong move. You can see, rejected there. Okay, let's look at the stock market just real quick again, because, a lot of volatility towards the close especially. Take a look there. Let's take a look at S&P. So the S&P 15-minute Stoke crossing back down. So, it dumped below, and this one was also, RSI was low, your Stoke was low. So I was thinking a bounce could happen and retesting. So you had that breakdown. You kind of had, let's see, we can draw a horizontal there. Well, I don't know. Basically, you had this like support level and it lost it, and it could be a retest, basically, is what I'm trying to get at, and if you do get rejected here and start to come down, you want to see if the price is governed by the blue 10 simple. You can see in that move there on the 15-minute, that was a pretty strong move. This one here as well stayed beneath the blue 10 simple the whole way. But, to the upside, it can also act as support, the blue 10 simple and 21 EMA. So above those levels, in a trending move, below in a trending move. Otherwise, you got that chop going on. And of course, this is going to close, so you won't see anything happening tomorrow, this evening. You'll have to wait till Sunday, which is the scary part about the stock market, not knowing where the price is going to open up until like the next week. All right, what else? What's up, Mass Ninja? How are y'all doing? Back to Bitcoin. So you are getting that rejection there, okay? Getting that rejection. Let's go back to Bitcoin, take a look at the daily Stokes. Did I look at that? And then we need to look at the weekly as well. So BTC daily. Let's see. BTC daily, Stokes crossed down. Yep. We did talk about all that. Other levels to the downside, you have this red 100 EMA at 87.54. 8,700 is an important level because if you drop beneath, this red 100 EMA and beneath 87, you'll lose this higher low structure, low, higher low, and you'll be putting in a lower low on this daily. And that could be, the downtrend for the next, few weeks or month possibly. Something else that we should do, is maybe look at some Fibonacci's real quick. Fibonacci's are always good when you're at risk of downside, just to see where your targets are going to be. Let's see, how do I want to do this? We'll trash that, but remember to bring it back. We'll take our Fibonacci retracement. And, this wick kind of bothers me because I am starting from down here to there. I wonder... And we did bounce off of the 0.236, and the 0.618 was lining up pretty well with the moving averages on the weekly. I just wonder, what that would look like or something like that, because that might be a little more fair, But we'll just stick with that. I'll do some experimentation on my own time. We'll stick with the swing low to swing high and go over to the weekly. And I showed this the other day as well, but your 0.618 comes in at 63.50-ish, that general area. Your 200 EMA and pink 200 simple on the weekly are coming up and will meet that level. They're right around 6K right now, and they will eventually glide and rise to that level there. That we down in 2015, we bounced off of that and had that rally. And we also bounced off the 200 simple down in 2018 December. And here we wicked beneath it, but basically, got back above pretty quickly. So losing, the 200 simple and trading beneath it, something that we haven't seen on Bitcoin. And that would also be losing that 0.618 golden retrace. Bitcoin does like to respect the golden retrace. We've seen that in the past. We can show right here from this swing high to that swing low. We actually topped out at the retrace there as well. And there's other examples as well. I don't want to fish around for them while we're on the live stream, but I did want to point that out as a possibility. Otherwise, we have, the 0.382 is at 7,900. Your 0.5 is at 71.36. Your 0.5 .57136 kind of lines up with this Coinbase chart I'm about to show you. I've been showing that for some time too. Gives a different perspective. I see price at 9,300. Charting the using the CME BTC. What exactly? Clarify real quick, and I'll try to address that, Mass Ninja. All right, so I wanted to make sure I didn't lose my trend lines. Go back. Where are my trend lines? 1 second, bear with me here. All right, got the trend lines back. Go over to that Coinbase chart, 9,300. Let's see. Here we go. All right, so losing this trend line that I had drawn on Coinbase, hadn't looked at that for some time. So yeah, that 0.5, we can do a Fibonacci here too, but it's basically going to be, it's lining up right in this support box. So we've had the support box drawn for a while. That's that price range there. And if you came down to test that, that would actually be that 0.5 fib, if I'm correct. We'll just do a rough one here. Okay. So yeah, your 0.5 is lining up right in that support box. So if you don't make it to the golden retrace, you know, the 0.5 in that 7K region could possibly make sense. And I was looking at this, you know, very hypothetical situation where you came down here, bounced, retested this resistance box here, and put in a left shoulder head, right shoulder, inverse head and shoulders on the macro. And for shits and why do I do that? I said for shits and giggles, let's just do a measured move on an inverse head and shoulders. Why not? Let's go to the weekly. Here we go. On the weekly, we will measure from here to, let's just do it like that. We'll put one up here. That's taking me to 15,000. So that's just a quick little measured move on an inverse head and shoulders back to 15,000. Just throwing ideas out there. Obviously, a lot would have to happen. You know, that could take like, you know, a year. So, you know, you can't, don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. Let me get rid of this guy here. Let's see. Thoughts on using CME chart for BTC moving averages? I mean, we can throw it up real quick. I know that some people like that one because it excludes weekend price history, so they think it's more accurate. So I mean, let's throw on the weekly. You lost on the CME. I do, you know, chart it as well. I just don't look at it as often. We lost that trend line there, and I can throw on some moving averages. So, you know, and I never did the BTC, you know, on Bitstamp weekly yet. You're going to see the same thing. You're still above all moving averages, getting that bounce. So like on the weekly, I'm not like totally bearish because I'm above all moving averages, but I'm definitely like on my toes. Like I'm ready in case this drops, because I don't want to watch this thing happen and just be, you know, watching in horror without playing it. So I'm definitely a little more, you know, aggressive this time around. But you are above all the moving averages on the weekly CME, and on the daily though, you're beneath the yellow 21. That's going to be a bearish, you know, close there. I mean, you did that here as well and bounced. So we're so choppy that you can't really take these moves. You know, they're confirmations, but they're not playing out. So that's why it's been pretty difficult if you're playing like the daily. The 4-hour CME getting squeezed between your 200 EMA and your blue 10 simple, but it's probably going to close right here. So either we just stay dead over the weekend, or whatever move we make might retrace. Depends though. I will say when this move happened back here at the beginning of this dump, look at this, okay? At the beginning of this dump, this happened over the weekend. And I didn't take this one serious because it was happening over the weekend. And it just kept going. And then it kept going. And then when we opened up, we didn't bounce to fill it. So that was a runaway gap. The momentum was just too strong. So, do we see something like that? I'm not trying to spread FUD or anything, but that's why I was saying I wouldn't want to be in a long on the stock market over the weekend, because if it gaps down below, you're screwed. I don't think we're going to have anything like super bullish over the weekend that pumps the price. Like, NASDAQ's pretty close to all-time highs right now. So yeah, that's, and look at, you're welcome, Mass Ninja, lower highs. You can see the lower highs here. So is this accumulation or distribution? Distribution for the top. It was looking more like, an ascending triangle type play when you had, you still had that rising trend line. You had a horizontal that looked a lot like, a bullish accumulation possibly. But you lost that, and now you're sticking in a lower high trend there as well. And if this comes back down this way, it's not going to look so pretty. It won't look like, what we've been watching for some time. And say we drop over the weekend, you will have a gap here. You could potentially have a runaway situation, or when you open up, you could, pump, fill the gap, and then get a dump. Or maybe we just pump and pump and pump. Who knows? But, yeah, obviously. I mean, those are the three scenarios. Which one's going to happen is another question, right? All right. Let's finish up with the BTC weekly. Then I'll look at the Bitcoin dominance and altcoins and maybe take some requests. It's been about 30 minutes. Wall Street closing in 3 minutes. I wanted to do this video around the closing of that. I've been waking up super early. Pacific time, I had to wake up at 5:45 this morning, 6 o'clock today. So, a series of red candles there. And this is the Forex. I'm using this chart because I'm trading the futures. The actual SPX also putting in a red candle there. Pretty nasty red candle there. It's been a volatile week with the stock market just moving on any, Fed. Any sentence from the Fed could move the price up or down. Okay, so let me go back to my futures charting and take a look at the lower time frames just to see how we're finishing. So yeah, this 15-minute finishing with the rejection. So is that, a sign of the things to come? We can take a look at NASDAQ real quick. NASDAQ performs the best because it's mostly tech stocks, which makes sense, So NASDAQ got a little bit more of a bounce. So, people that, in a lockdown are still going to be using electronics. But, when we had that just massive panic sell, also the NASDAQ also fell. And, something to note is gold. Gold could possibly do well. And it looks like it's moving up, actually. Gold could do well if the stock market's falling. But this happened during the pandemic sell-off. Gold also fell. It just happened to rebound a lot faster. So I'm being careful with the gold trade, because if we have something like this happen again, I don't want to be holding gold that long. But could get a breakout. It's possible. Let's look at gold. Gold fast stoke is crossed up, and slow stoke, yeah, it might move back up, doesn't know what it wants to do. All right, going back over to Bitcoin. A bit all over the place, but that's what I've been doing recently. I've been looking at a number of assets so that, when Bitcoin's super slow and choppy, you don't want to be getting your ass kicked, It's good for scalping. I've been trying to learn how to scalp more. We haven't had, some great trending. I'm thinking 4-hour setup is better for trending moves, and during the chop, you might want to consider scalping, taking profits wherever you can. So your fast-moving stoke still coming down on the weekly, your slow-moving stoke hinting at the cross down. It's potentially, at a local top, and we haven't been able to break that level there. The difference between these and this was a blow off top impulse move rejection. This was like a single day $1,000 pump rejection. This one we were doing well, and then the pandemic sell off. I have excuses for all of these. This one I don't have an excuse for, and we keep pushing up is why I was feeling slightly bullish, but maybe we get wave 2 sell off. It's a possibility your Stokes are still coming down on the weekly, but the argument, saving the day for the bulls is simply we are above all major moving averages here. Bounce off the blue 10 simple on the weekly. So above 21 EMA is going to be bull market, below bear market. So where, if we close beneath 85.30, yellow 21 weekly, then we could see, come maybe all the way back down to that 6K or 7K that we were talking about. All right, it's been 30 minutes. Let's look at the Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance on the daily. Bitcoin dominance going sideways on the daily. I'm watching the Bitcoin dominance to see if it moves up or moves down and what's happening. So if Bitcoin price is falling and crypto and Ethereum and all the altcoins are all falling and the dominance rises, that means that the altcoins are falling harder than Bitcoin. So either you can short altcoins and get a larger gain shorting altcoins if the Bitcoin dominance is rising, or if you don't short and you're more of a hodler, you might want to consider moving more into Bitcoin. It will hurt more to be holding altcoins in that scenario. Now, if the dominance falls and prices are falling, that means Bitcoin is falling the hardest. If we bounce from here and prices, we go back towards 10K and the Bitcoin dominance rises, means Bitcoin is outperforming altcoins. If we go towards 10K Ethereum, everyone's pumping, and we lose this trend line here. So we break down this way, crypto's pumping, and dominance falling means that altcoins are having an alt season. So 4 different scenarios. That's why altcoin trading can be tricky at times. You have to know the relationship between all of them. Let's take a look at some of the majors. We can look at Ethereum. Ethereum moving a lot like Bitcoin. We rejected from this horizontal around 246, 245. You saw that support flip as resistance and hit it as resistance again. You have the support level down at 215. That was a resistance level for a while. Support flipped resistance at 215, and if we fall, that would probably be my target. And then you have 195. There was a range between 195 and 215. So those would be my immediate targets to the downside. 195, 215, 245 are my key levels on Ethereum. And your 4-hour, looks a lot like Bitcoin, like I said. And also, this, lower high descending, channel, whatever you want to call it, something like that going on here, guys. Okay, we did get the 4-hour close bearish, and your Stokes getting that cross back down on the fast moving Stoke, slow moving Stoke still coming down. So definitely possibly you could retest this level 223 as well. Going over to Link real quick. Link, I was looking at a potential inverse head and shoulders up here. Lost that level, not looking so good. Yep, Link and XTZ on it right now. So you had a left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and you broke above the neckline and just needed a bounce off of resistance flip support. Your extended move target was up here to $4.50, but the rest of the market dragging it down. You dropped beneath it, retested that neckline resistance, rejected, and coming down. So this is no longer valid in my view unless you happen to bounce here. I'll reevaluate that situation right now. So that resistance level is about $4.13. Let me zoom out to the daily, see why I have that horizontal there. Okay, so that makes more sense there. I have a horizontal here, just roughly. I can adjust this possibly at $3.85. And that was using this previous support level there, was flipped as resistance. And you're putting in a lower high. If you break below this trading range, now your lower low, it's quite possible we're in a downtrend. You have the daily fast Stoch looking to cross down here as well. The slow moving could follow after that. So, and if Bitcoin dumps, I'm sure they all will dump. We'll just have to watch the Bitcoin dominance to see which one's falling the hardest if you're into, shorting those. The Stochs and the RSI are low, so could we get a bounce? It's possible. You had this previous price range right there. Possibly get a bounce to save the day. High, lower high, higher low. But if you lose that level there, like I said, not looking so great. Let's go over to XTZ. And with Link, if Link can get back above, maybe break this little falling channel, get back above here, maybe we could march higher to $4.28, kind of the underbelly of that trading range. And if you can find support above that, $4.50. Where was the RSI on the major dump? Are you talking about for a Link? We can take a look at that. What time frame? This was June. Let's see. Was this March? No. Let me go out to the daily. Go out to the day. Oh yeah, that would make sense. So March was back here. Let me take off the drawing tool there. March here. Your RSI was down here. On Doomsday was way low. You were already. I'm trying to line this up. So on the day before the dump, you were in that region there. You broke just beneath the neutral zone. We're at that neutral zone now. Let's see. Let's just draw a trend line here on Link. So you're flirting with that level again. If you lose, the neutrals are out 45. If you lose that level on the Link daily RSI, that's where that happened. So that's a good point to watch out for. Right now you are finding that bounce in the neutral zone, but if you dip into the bearish zone of the RSI, that means that this also means relative strength index. So it's not just overbought, oversold. And that's why sometimes you can see it stay in the overbought area, because it just means that the bulls are strong. And that's why you have, bearish divergence when price, say is going up, but the RSI is going down. It means that the bulls are losing strength as the price moves up. So that's why it's a bearish divergence. So in that neutral zone, we'll keep our eye on that. That's for sure. Okay. Going back over to XTZ. XTZ also lost this rising trend line and came up, retested it on the daily, rejected from it, and dropped. And now we're kind of putting in this sideways action. We can throw on our moving averages real quick. Your blue 10 simple pushing the price down. You're welcome. You're welcome. Rejected by that 21 EMA. They all look pretty similar. Your red 100 EMA, $2.62 on the daily. We could look at the weekly, see what Tezos on the weekly looks like. That was a pretty nasty weekly candle there, and then getting rejected. This putting in a doji, but getting stopped out by that blue 10 simple resistance at $2.64. Your 21 EMA at $2.33. Your fast moving Stoch on the weekly, Tezos coming down, and your slow Stoch still up though. Okay, I mean, we're at a critical juncture, and we've been here for, I don't even know, man, like a month it feels like. When was this? It's been over a month and a half. So, you know, I was watching somebody else's video. I don't know where to find the indicator. The historical volatility index was at a 0, and it was so low that on a daily time frame that usually you get a large move when those happen, and we're at that point. So is it up or down? It's coming soon. You know, until we break above 10.5, it's hard to be extra bullish. There goes that lisp. And, you know, as long as you're still putting in higher lows, it's hard to be super bearish. But 92.88 falling. Let's see where we closed. So the 4-hour closed right there on that horizontal. I love it when that happens. Right there. Right there. And now falling. I love it when it happens because you're looking for it to fall underneath for, you know, possible confirmation, and it'll just, you know, be right there. So it looks bearish. I mean, the setup is good. I'll hold this short, and, you know, if Bitcoin falls, they're all going to fall. Ethereum looking like it too. I think stock futures are still open for like 4 more minutes. Any other requests, guys? Any request? Anything you want to look at? If you're still with me. This doesn't send out notifications, unfortunately, when you do the live stream. I don't think it sends out a notification. Or it does. Okay, it does as soon as you open, or as soon as you start it. XRP, welcome. Novi, haven't seen you before. We can look at XRP. XRP hasn't been doing well. XRP's been probably underperforming more than any other. You also have this, you know, falling channel, falling wedge. If you do get a bounce, you know, maybe watching to see if you break that, and possibly you could get a little breakout there. Let's look at the 4-hour. Your slow stoke is low. So I would say cross up on the 4-hour stoke, this 1436, combined with the breakout of that downtrend. Maybe you get a little bit of a move. But where other coins are pumping, and XRP doesn't always follow, unfortunately. We've seen a lot of coins get some pumps, and XRP lags behind and then doesn't pump at all. And 4-hour just, you know, bearish beneath all moving averages on the daily. Let's look at XRP on the daily real quick. Also beneath all moving averages. And like I said, it never really got the same kind of pump there. You know, you're definitely at risk of retesting. The problem with XRP also is this chart here. You had this price range way back in the day, 2017, before the breakout, and you're just at risk of losing that level. I wouldn't, you know, your next, you know, price range was way down at 6 cents. So that would be, I don't think that would happen unless like the entire market fell. So that's the good news. But you could retest maybe 16 cents. That was where I had a horizontal when I drew this a while ago. Not looking good though. You're definitely in a downtrend. You can see just lower high. Sorry, I'm trying to make this better for you guys. Lower high, lower high, lower high, and lower low. So I would be afraid to make another lower low. I'm not sure what's up with the XRP army, and I wouldn't be very bullish on it until it broke that lower high on the weekly. You know, we need to see it break back above here. Unfortunate, but anything can happen. Let's see. Top ticker, top what? NASDAQ. Okay, let me start with Litecoin. Oh yes, Dumpy. Omni, I know you're waiting for that 8,800. All right, I would say LTC, but it's a stable coin. Yeah, LTC didn't do much either. I mean, no one's even talking about Litecoin. What happened with the Mimble Wimble? Are they still doing that? Litecoin was a lot like XRP. Didn't get much of a bounce. Lower highs, lower lows. Not pretty. Let's look at the moving averages. Beneath the 21 EMA. Bitcoin's above all moving averages, and Litecoin can't even get above the weekly 21 EMA. Let's look at something we haven't done on this chart real quick. I want to look at the altcoin market cap. Okay, so this is everything minus Bitcoin. So this looks a lot more like the Bitcoin chart above all moving averages. So not too bad there yet, but at risk of losing that level. So, if this drops, it looks a lot like the Bitcoin chart. So not a whole lot I can say. This is, all the total crypto market cap. But the total crypto market cap, definitely risking a drop to the downside, and it could be a big drop. So we'll have to see, what happens with that, if that happens. So what you said, the top, what are you talking about? AD, which are you talking about, like actual stocks like Apple or like the index? Okay. Let me look at NASDAQ. Okay, Apple was hit an all-time high today and then had that news. But, it's in a rally above that 21 EMA there on the 4-hour, on the daily, above the blue 10 simple. So, I think if we have a market-wide dump, we can see it was also impacted, and it's been on a ridiculous rally. Your daily Stochh coming down. You got possible bearish divergence on the daily RSI there, but you're still above all moving averages. We'll just have to see what happens. But if you lose that and lose the 21 EMA, that could be the beginning of a downtrend possibly. Okay, but you did hit the all-time high right before that news story came out. I don't think that them shutting down 11 stores will be that impactful on the stock market, its stock itself, but it's just a bad story to hear. What else is going to close? I saw, a restaurant talking about closing back down after opening, and, parts of Houston might close down. It might be a trickle effect. If Apple's shutting down in those 4 states, why wouldn't some other stores shut down, and the cruise lines are pushing back their date to like September. No cruises leaving the U.S. ports, so that could be something to be afraid of. Let's see, Microsoft was doing well, also hit an all-time high before, selling off with that news, and also potential bearish divergence. And let me see something. We can look at any other ones you guys want to look at. Tesla, people like Tesla. Tesla flirting with all-time highs as well, and daily still above your blue 10 simple as well. So on the daily, it's still been rising in an uptrend. But if you go down to the 4-hour, let's take a look. 4-hour still above all your moving averages as well. Go to the 1-hour. 1 hour's just been sideways. It looked like it might have been falling off and then just bounced. We're just at that point where a lot of analysts think that we're just overvalued, and people are, starting to take profits, but price is still moving up. So we're playing this game. For me, it's like if you can scalp the moves up, then do it. But I wouldn't be like walking away. I wouldn't like buy and just walk away and come back a month later. It would be a short-term trade. But you can't be screaming dump until we actually see it break these downtrends. So yeah, that is what it is. And NASDAQ, it's been running crazy. Possible double top on NASDAQ? Possibly. You hit all-time highs, but we'll have to see if you bounce off that blue 10 simple on the daily. But possible lower high, double top, whatever you want to call it. Your NASDAQ also hinting at that cross back down as well. All right. It's been almost an hour. Any last request? I could look at Bitcoin's price and I'll probably finish up here, guys. Bitcoin. So 92.83. Let's put on the volume. But bouncing and bouncing. It's been a tough one. A lot of wicks. So what are we doing? Are we flipping support as resistance, or are we just going to bounce right back above? So we dip beneath it and getting a bounce. It could be more chop over the weekend. Waiting on a breakout or waiting to see, you know, what happens on Sunday. Okay. Thanks, Mass Ninja. I think that's about it. I've covered quite a bit. Just playing it day by day right now. I'm not feeling as good about Bitcoin as I was when we were still in the ascending triangle. And even off of this bounce here, we bounced back in there, but then just got rejected. And it's just not too much to be bullish about. Mostly just patient and working on, you know, my craft, reading some books, practicing new strategy. You know, it's trying to improve every day. All right, that's it, guys. Thanks for joining in on the live stream. I wanted to test this out. I actually have some of my exchanges up at the same time. Was testing to see if it would affect my live stream. It did not, so I can actually possibly get into a routine of live streams and not feel like I would be missing out on my trades, because I didn't want to have to shut down a live stream because I had to, like, you know, go close out a trade and panic or whatever. All right. So I'm still bearish. I'm leaning bearish. I think that, you know, you could get a lot of news stories that are shutting down. You know, the numbers keep rising. More FUD, whether you believe in the coronavirus or not. You know, retail has been dominating. They keep talking about retail is in the market stronger than ever. And you've been seeing prices dump. Like I said, like, you know, the Fed puts out or is interviewed on CNBC and prices will dump, or the next day it will pump. A little story here, a little story there. You're seeing, you know, a lot of volatility. And, you know, usually I don't take news stories so seriously, just trade the charts. But you have so much retail involved that, you know, it's actually having an effect. And, you know, we saw a slew of bad articles coming out, you know, back at the beginning of the dump off. Right here, you know, this was like, okay, China's having an issue, but we were complacent. This was the complacency. We had a dump off. We, you know, bounced. We were complacent. Oh, it's not coming to America. And then you just started getting all these, you know, news stories, and San Francisco shutting down. You know, Tom Hanks has the virus. NBA players have the virus. You know, just it all happened like in a wave. And if that happens again, we could get a dump. So just have to keep your eyes and ears peeled to the news. But I'm staying on CNBC News. Only the news that's going to affect the markets. I've been watching CNN and Fox News, and it just makes me want to fight people. So I'm going to stay away from that. All right, that's enough for me, guys. Thanks for watching again. Till next time, rolly roll. I'm out. Happy